Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a combo that one of you guys requested to see, and I think it's got the potential to be a pretty nice performing combination. We know that this type of shell can be pretty limited out to 40 yards or so for turkeys, but for what it is, these shells have shown some very nice promise. We've already gotten a couple perfectly solid results from them, but we haven't ran them through this choke combo yet, which has also shown nice results on numerous occasions, so putting the two together should work out, especially with the shell versus choke constriction we've got. So we're just going to have to try it and see what happens, because it could give us some nice results. But first, for the shells we got today, I brought out some more of these Herter Strutter lead turkey loads. These ones are the 20 gauge, 3-inch, 1¼ ounce payload of lead 5s at about 1185 feet per second. These Herter shells are the Cabela's and Bass Pro Shop brand name, essentially. They own Herters, but it's all made by Winchester, and a lot of times these Herter shotgun loads are rebranded Winchester Super X shells. I technically don't even know if Winchester makes a 20 gauge Super X turkey load. I know they make a double X and a Longbeard XR, but if there was a Super X, it would be these essentially. Now for what they are, $1 or just a hair over $1 a round, they've always been pretty solid performers. Just Herters in general, but these for a lead load at 40 yards and a 20 gauge have been one of the better performers that isn't a Longbeard XR shell. So we'll see how they do through today's choke. But as for the setup we're running, I brought out the Stevens 301 20 gauge. It's got a vector red dot on top, a 26-inch barrel, and one of you wanted to see those Herter shells ran through the Cabela's Blackmaxx choke. It's a 575 constriction, so a little bit more on the open side, but that's kind of the range that a lead load and 20 gauge seems to like, is that little bit more breathing room in the choke. This is a great performing choke for mid-price tier, so we should have a decent combo if these shells work out the way I hope they do anyway. Before our test today, we're running everything the same as usual. I've got the target set up at 40 yards with the chrono to get our velocity, so let's get you guys a view of that target and see what the Herter's lead 5s can actually do through the Blackmaxx 575. In theory, it's going to look pretty nice, but let's try it and see just how capable it actually is out to 40 yards, because it is still a very basic budget-oriented lead load in a 20 gauge. So we don't know until we try it, so let's see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1244 through the chrono. Boss claim is 1185, so we are a little bit over it. Not uncommon for low to mid 1200s out of these shells, so we're right where we typically are, and that's perfectly fine for a lead 5 out to 40 yards. But did we actually get a good pattern at 40 with those Herter's loads through the Blackmaxx choke? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so here we are down at our 40-yard paper, and we see some pretty solid results here, but as we look at this, it's kind of right on that edge where it's a good solid pattern for what it is, that being a lead 5 and a 20 gauge, and a cheap budget-oriented option as well, but it's just right on that edge where I like it, but I would love to see just that little bit more out of it. I think we can definitely do that. If we fiddle with these enough and find the right choke, these are going to be a very nice performer. We've already seen some nice performances out of it, and this is another one. It's perfectly adequate. It would certainly do the job out to 40 yards. You can see, even though the core out of that combo might have favored a little bit high, that is the choke I'm zeroed with, but not the shell. And from what I've found, that gun typically shoots lead a little bit high and TSS a little bit low. I'm zeroed with TSS in that choke, but we still have a dead turkey. There's a number of them through the back of the head and neck there that would have absolutely done the job, and if his head was a little higher up, it would have been the same story. Know where that bird can move to. Pretty nice even spread across there as well. Not overly condensed down into a tight pattern. We don't really have too much of a tight core, but it would certainly do the job. I don't know that I would go pushing it much farther past 40, but out to 40, yep. And with it being a little bit more broad, it's going to give you a little more wiggle room at 20 or 25 yards as well, where a TSS shell won't, or even a Longbeard load for that either. They won't at 20 yards. So nice even spread throughout majority of the pattern. As we get to the edges, we do throw a few little pellets around, not anything overly egregious. There's a couple down there towards the bottom, and maybe a couple more at the bottom right corner over there, but it's just a little bit more of a broad spread. I think we have seen tighter spreads than this through a little bit more choke. I believe we've run these through the Longbeard 568 not too long ago, and they were a little bit more condensed down than this, so maybe these might like 570, maybe 565, somewhere right in there. there, which we can certainly do for sure. But this is a perfectly adequate pattern. If you like a little more breathing room, nothing at all wrong with that. I would definitely hunt it. Although I think it leaves me wanting to squeeze that little bit more performance out of it. It's just right there. So let's pull the turkey target down. We'll draw some circles and count pellets, and we'll see numbers wise exactly how this pattern did, because I still think it's a pretty solid pattern, all things considered. All right, so now our target's down and out of the way. We've got everything circled, counted, and bigger circles drawn, and it's still right about like I thought it was. You can see it definitely tried to bring itself in. We're just not quite there just yet. I think a little more choke or a little different choke might do it. I think we've seen a little better from these through a little more choke, so that may be the route we need to go here. But this is still pretty solid based on the other shells out there in the 20 gauge lead turkey world at 40 yards. Really, the longbeards are the best of the best by a long shot. But these, compared to like the Winchester XX or the Remington Nitro turkeys or something like that, these are still better by a noticeable margin. Inside of our 10-inch core area, we have a decently even 61 pellets worth of spread. That's certainly good enough for 40-yard turkey hunting. I don't know that I'd push it a ton farther, but 40 and in, absolutely dead turkey all day long. Within our 20-inch leeway ring, we pick up an additional 77 pellets. Might start to get a little bit of void action going on in the bottom down there. Might be a little thinner at the top right corner, but nothing detrimental to the pattern. And of course, we have our fair share of stuff scattered outside of that as well. I think if we brought those edges in just a little bit more, we'd have a really nice hunting pattern to work with here. So it's just so close. It's solid, but I would want to do a little more tuning with it and dial it in a little bit more. But not terrible by any means for what it is. It's a $5.75 mid-price choke with a much cheaper $1 or so a round shell that's lead 5s and a 20 gauge at 40 yards. That's not too bad. That would absolutely take turkeys all day long. So still got a little more work to do, a little more fine tuning. I think we can get these in to be a really nice performer for what they are. Don't know that we'll reach Longbeard XR capability, but if we can get most of our shot inside of that 20-inch ring, it's going to be a hard combo to argue with for sure. This almost is there, but just not quite as good as what I'd like to see around the edges anyway. And here's the wad from that shell. Immediately, it's typical Winchester equipment because those Herter shells are just a reboxed Winchester loading. Same stuff they use in the 20 gauge Longbeard XR and XX shells. Nothing special or fancy, no major damage, nothing stuck in there, and it did just fine, all things considered. We just need to refine our choke, or probably the constriction, just a little bit more and find what these really like. But the wad out of today's shot looks just fine. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that combo right there? It's a solid performer, but it's not quite there just yet. If we could just bring in what's outside of that 20-inch ring a little bit, it would be a very nice performer. I wouldn't hesitate to hunt with this combo the way it is, but I would probably, 30, 35 yards and in would be my choice if I'm running this combo. It could do the job to 40 just fine, but it's a little more broad. I would want it a little more condensed than what we see here, and a little closer range would definitely do that. So we have a little bit of work to do still with the choke. I think the Carlson's 568 choke that we tested with these not too long ago did give us a little bit more promising result than this. So maybe a touch more constriction than 575 might be where we need to look for these shells. Either way though, based on the rest of the market for lead 20 gauge turkey loads, the Longbeard XR is the top of the game. We all know that. But when it comes to the Federal Grand Slam, the Remington Nitro turkey, even the Winchester XX shells, this is still performing better than what those have given us. Usually lead in a 20 gauge is very limited past 30 yards unless it's a Longbeard shell. So the fact that we can reliably take turkeys at 40 with these should say something about them. They've got a pretty decent combination made up here with these. So a little more work, I think we can figure them out and get a really nice performer for pretty cheap as well. Much cheaper than a TSS load in a 20 gauge for sure. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 20 gauge Herter's turkey loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern or a combo you would hunt with? Or are you kind of like me where, yeah, you would use it, but if we could just bring it in a little more, more, then you definitely wouldn't hesitate to hunt with it. And maybe what other combos do you want to see us run those shells through that you think might be the right choke to get the job done? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.